So, the night sky in New York, all the famous buildings. Tell me, Chrysler Building?
Right on their bill. That is the Chrysler Building. Beautiful silver
skyline.
topped. Yeah, a little bit of
Yeah.
that Art Deco
Yes.
look from the 50s on the top of that building.
Fabulous skyline at night, it really is. I don't know which I prefer, when it's actually dark and you see the lights of it, or when you've got the sunset behind it. It's equally impressive. Anyway, we can't see it from our seat. Cameraman up at the very, very top, they can see it. So I think this is going to be an invigorating match. Nicolas Lapentti, our enemy in 2 weeks' time in the Davis Cup down in Ecuador, being played in his hometown. So I think the support he's going to get is going to be unreal.
Well, it's hard not to like the guy. I mean, you know, he's a good-looking guy, really well liked on the tour, and he's got a good-looking game. I mean, this is a guy that the ATP circuit has embraced. He's one of the new young guns in their campaign, and he's deserving of it. I mean, this guy is a first-rate player, and a guy that's well liked on the tour as well. Plus,
Yeah.
plus he's, you know, I think he's taken out Anna Kournikova, which pretty much puts him in everyone's good books.
I gather the girls in the office of the various tennis associations around the world, they go crazy about him, and I can see why. I mean, he's got everything going for him. He's very pleasant and very handsome. I'm sick of him already. He's my enemy until we play the Davis Cup.
And I'll tell you what, this guy's not doing badly either. I mean, what a career he's had. Probably the all-time nice guy around the tour. And you know, certainly well-liked and beloved by his native country, and certainly loved by all the gals around the world, and admired by all the men, too, because he's a first-rate bloke.
Absolutely. I think he's going to be the most generous-spirited player, you know, of all, and also in charities. And that white blob on the top of his head worries me. First of all, I thought it was painting the ceiling and standing a bit too close. Then I thought it was
a visit to the aviary, perhaps.
No. I then thought, and somebody said it's a birthmark, and then somebody else has come up with the fact that he might have been hit on the head by a cricket ball. So I just don't know. Right from the word go, that is going to make the great net rusher think.
You can see by his shirt that you've got a bit of wind blowing around there on that center court. And it's swirling wind when it gets down to the bottom of this stadium.
I've been up on the roof, and on the roof at least, it's coming from Lapentti's end towards Rafter. What it's doing down in the bowl there, who knows?
Love, 30.
Just a little bit of extra juice on that second serve. You know, you're down love 30. You have to come up with something pretty good there, and Rafter is able to find it.
That's a good serve too, nice and wide.
Yeah, he serves a little bit like Stefan Edberg, the great Swede, used to serve. He doesn't serve big and flat like Andy Roddick. He plays with lots of spin and uses that time to get in behind the serve to get to net.
Oh, what a cute, cute little volley.
40, 30.
Yes, well played. Just a nice little dink.
Deuce.
Well, you can see the kind of variety he plays with. I mean, he's got the lob, he's got the angle. And of course, those kinds of shots allow you to play the hard, strong passing shots, and I'm sure we'll see some of those later on as well.
Advantage Rafter.
Two lobs in the first game alone from Lapentti. He's obviously got a game plan. Good judgment and good recovery from Lapentti.
You know, Patrick Rafter's game is all about putting pressure on his opponent. You know, he's not a guy to really spend too much time in the backcourt, although he doesn't mind sparring a bit from the back, but he's going to use that as a stepping stone to get into the net and play some volleys. And I'm not sure if that kangaroo has a ticket or not, but I'm sure it's a supporter of Patrick Rafter.
It's a smaller version of the ones they all had at the Davis Cup tie, and about 5,000 of those blow-up kangaroos were waved in the air. You know, it was frightening.
Low, 15.
Well played. Stunned that volley.
15.
At least something of an all-rounder. You know, used to be just a baseliner, but he's pretty adept at the net as well. See how he opened that racket face? Just carved an edge of that ball very softly and very deftly.
$50.
78 miles an hour, that failed second serve.
That last person you saw on the screen was Patricio Rodriguez, a long time coach. Nicolas Lapentti. Been together since '97, and Rodriguez has been instrumental in bringing this young man along.
What a good point.
Deuce.
You know, creative play from both guys. Look at Rafter with the angle, and that is a great dig right there, but he just can't quite get enough on it. And Rafter finds an angle that Lapentti can't handle.
Advantage Lapentti.
Well, that was some angle. I'm wondering whether he really meant it.
For a big guy, Lapentti doesn't have an overpowering serve. He really is a clay courter in that regard. It seems like his serve is more of a way to get the point started than to win the point outright. But that time it was pretty good out wide.
That was the shot, but it just missed.
One game.
Yeah, it's good to see Lapentti up at the net. I think he knows that he can't stay in the backcourt all the time because Rafter is going to come in and put the pressure on him. So I think he's going to have to say, hey, I'm going to have to put some pressure on Rafter. And if I were Lapentti, I'd attack that Rafter backhand. Make Rafter come up with some backhand passing shots. That's not his best shot, and that's not a bad player there. Former great Tony Roach, and Bill, as you know, one of the great guys around the game as well.
Yeah, terrific guy. One of the handsome 8. Well, the handsome 7 plus Tony Roach. He was one of the great volleyers. His backhand volley was something else, really. And he's such a good guy to have around. I mean, he's a sort of part-time coach and advisor and guru and friend and all the rest of it to Pat Rafter. And you couldn't ask for anybody better. Good thinking.
Well, that one landed right on the baseline. Pretty creative play from Lapentti. He's finding ways to attack Rafter. Not easily done. He's got a bit of an edge here.
And Rafter at love 30 in both service games. Well, he's going to struggle to get out of this.
So some Aussie caps in the crowd. And there's a Rafter rule sign, and I'm not sure about that jersey, Bill. What was that?
No idea. Well, look at the pace he got on that. He must have hit that pretty flat. Rolled his wrist round. That is a very difficult shot to put away. A high backhand smash. Fabulous shot. Terrific play by Lapentti. First break of the match, and he really earned it.
Lapentti leads 2 games to 1.
Well, something to think about already for Patrick Rafter.
Well, Lapentti's gotten off to a great start. I mean, he's seeing the ball like a watermelon. I mean, he's catching it early, and he's really doing what he wants with it, and that's a sign that he's relaxed and feeling very comfortable out here. And that can't feel good for Patrick Rafter. You see, Lapentti's created some very good situations, 7 winners. So Rafter not off to the start he wanted. Down a break here early.
I'm wondering why he's been put on the night court. Always has a beautiful girlfriend, Pat Rafter. He's on a night match again. I mean, obviously the committee reckon he's a terrific good value for a night crowd in New York here. But he expressly said after his last match, his night match, I do not like playing here at night. I hope I don't get it again, except maybe one next week.
Yeah, well, those are some of the challenges of being, famous and popular. I mean, they're going to want you in those feature spots. And same thing with Bjorn Borg. He did not like playing at night here at the Open either. There's a good look at Patricio Rodriguez. Nicolas Lapentti's coach. We did not acknowledge him last time, so there he is. He's been around the tour a long time. I know he traveled for a while, I think, with Jose Luis Clerc, and he's got a great background in the game. But again, Borg did not like playing at night, and
No,
he struggled with that.
I think he would have won the US Open if it had been played in the daytime a bit more often.
Yeah, well, I think Tanner got him one night where he really struggled. Roscoe Tanner, the left-hander who served so well and was a Wimbledon finalist.
Lapentti with a break, 2-1. There we go again. That's the third lob he's played. 2 of them very successful.
You know, we saw Patrick Rafter's girlfriend earlier, Laura Feltham, and you know, that might be Rafter's best result. She's a lovely girl, and she's such a sweetheart. They make such a wonderful couple.
I haven't met her. Certainly very attractive.
Well, he likes that serve out wide, and I think he's going to use that today to diffuse, you know, Rafter's intentions of coming in behind the serve.
Rafter does not like to patrol the baseline for too long, does he? He made one sort of jerk forward and then thought, no, it's not the time. A couple of points for this chap for a 3-1 lead, first set. That's a very good, hard, straight, down the middle serve. He's already served one at 120 miles per hour, so he's got a big serve and he wants it.
Well, that might be his biggest serve so far today. And, you know, that's a comfortable way to reestablish the break you get. You can see 123 miles an hour. So perhaps he's proved me wrong, that he's got a little more on that serve than I thought.
50.
Seemed to look up as he played that shot, as Rafter charges in. What a wonderful half volley pick-up lob that was.
15.
Well, that's a great lob, and you can see why it's so good is he lobs with that full length of the court, so it allows you a little more room to find some court. Rafter did well just to get it back. Yeah, that's money right there.
30. 15. That's
not Rafter at all.
40.
Doesn't usually miss those volleys. And that was a very tricky volley to have to play right off his toes.
No, Rafter doesn't want to let this game get away. I mean, he was up 40-15. Remember, Lapentti already with one break in the bag.
Great serve. Sliced away, miles away from Lapentti. Yep, that's much more like it. So Rafter comes through, but only just, but he's still a break behind, 2-3.
You can see why Lapentti is so much fun to watch. I mean, he's got a creative approach to the game. It's not all bang, bang tennis with this guy. He's got some angles and some lobs. He likes to hold the ball to the last second and sort of catch you leaning the wrong way. And that can make for a tricky challenge for a guy like Rafter, who just keeps coming forward and is counting on executing some volleys. So Rafter will be tested. Rafter, the number 6 seed.
Well, this is the first night that I can remember here this week where it's been, it looks like just about a packed house. There are people right up to the very top of this huge stadium, which holds a little over 23,000 people, unbelievably. And it really is what you would call a full house. Obviously, there are a few people around, but it's the first time this week that we have not had matches on the outside courts, and there have been some terrific matches during the night session here on the centre court, so obviously that thins the crowd down a bit, but not tonight. They're all in here. So Lapentti now about to try and underline his break of serve. He leads 3-2. See his shirt blowing quite a lot. There's still the wind down there. No doubt a swirling, unpredictable wind blowing from Rafter towards him up top. What it's doing down in the on the court, who knows? He coped very well with a high backhand too.
Now this time it was Lapentti with the backhand.
50.
Again, that volley doesn't do much, but this play here helps him out a bit. Well, do you know what Patrick Rafter, John Fitzgerald, and James Blake all have in common?
Wait, well, I think. I've thought, and I've no idea.
They're all born on December 28th. And you know why that's significant?
Go ahead. Because it's 3 days after Christmas.
That's significant. But it's also my wife's birthday, December 28th.
Oh, that's lovely. You know, my lack of knowledge about December the 28th is vast.
Well, it's growing, though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I know something now.
15, 33.
I know when my wife was born. Who was
And you
it?
better not forget it.
Same day as Mussolini or somebody sort of quite famous. So you have to buy your wife a Christmas present or two,
Oh, yeah.
and a birthday present a couple of days later.
Yeah, you
3
don't want to
days later.
forget the birthday present around Christmas time, because that's, got to make the effort, because her birthday gets lost around that Christmas holiday.
It's tough to be close to Christmas. My father was Boxing
15,
Day.
43.
My daughter is a couple of weeks after Christmas, so you tend to ignore one or the other a bit.
Well, Lapentti can't ignore his situation here. I'll tell you, these are critical moments, and he's played a sloppy game here. Very loose forehand. He's down a break point.
Yeah, well, the one over his backhand side, the lob, was a bit short for Rafter, by Rafter.
30.
He had the point made if it had been a bit deeper, hadn't he? So this is the second break point. No, that's a rash shot. Break point down and a shot like that tells you something about Lapentti. But now it's 3-all.
Well, as a player, it's one thing to have your opponent hit a lot of winners, but if you're going to give him mistakes like that, in that game he double faulted once, and he made 3 mistakes on the forehand. You just can't afford to give your opponent that many free points. Oftentimes those mistakes are like a poison. They get inside your head. You'd almost rather lose the point by your opponent hitting a winner than by making the mistake.
Lapentti's feet not moving too fast there. Didn't have a lot of time to. Rafter's fastest serve so far has only been 114, as compared with 123 for Lapentti.
13.
I suppose he dissipates quite a lot of the power with the amount of work he puts on his serve, and the ball spinning. He's going to lose a bit of momentum. That was trickier than it seemed. First of all, Rafter thought it was going out. Then it bounced in. That's good serving again. That kicked away from Lapentti. And this is a very good recovery by Rafter, who now leads 4-3.
Time.
Well, if you've caught a brief sight of that gentleman with all the hair at the back of the stands there, I can't enlighten you. Obviously somebody famous, or the cameras wouldn't have been on him. All the stars tend to drop in here at the US Open. Rafter looking a lot more composed and happy now, after a sticky start when he was broken early. Lapentti at 3-4, first set.
An interesting play from Rafter. It wasn't much of a return, but oftentimes if it's extra short or extra deep, that's an opportunity to get forward, and you can see Rafter came in behind it.
You've got to laugh at Rafter around the net. I mean, he's just a fabulous goalkeeper around there, isn't he?
15.
Well, take a look at how close he is to that. I mean, he is right on top of the net. And Lapentti's going right at him. This time he finds a little space down the backhand side.
Rafter could have moved there because he was going to play it late, Lapentti.
First service.
Frightening Lapentti into an error.
And here's a look at the Lapentti serve. Again, the toss is up, and again, he uses some of that power in his legs. He loads those quads, the energy, through the legs up into the toss. Not a bad motion.
Well, gutsy try for Rafter, but he had to leave the court open.
30.
25 years old, Lapentti. 28, Rafter. Now that's a weak and wobbly shot. He won't be too proud of that one. Major mishit came from Lapentti's racket halfway through that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a hand-delivered invitation for Patrick Rafter to come to the net. I mean, you cannot hit a short ball like that because Rafter's going to come in.
Advantage,
Lapentti now with a point to level at 4-all. Remember the year in the French Open when Rafter got to the semi-final, chipping and charging, camping on the net on clay? An amazing performance.
I think that was 97 when Rafter got to the semis. But the year I remember, too, is also 89 when Michael Chang broke through. And Stefan Edberg was serving and volleying and chipping and charging. And that was the year I really felt Edberg should win. You know, he had Chang in that final.
I spoke to him about it. He agrees with you.
Oh, man, he had Chang. And again,
he was a break-up final set.
That's too bad. And that's a good serve there. And as a serve and volleyer, you don't get many chances at the French. You know, McEnroe had his one chance. He lost it in the final. Edberg had his chance. Lost it in the final. Great achievement for Rafter, of course. I think he lost to Sergi Bruguera in the semifinals. That was the year that Gustavo Kuerten beat Bruguera in the final.
Another great lob from Lapentti. He really is using that shot to some advantage. And it's 4-all.
4 games on.
And speaking of Bjorn Borg, I mentioned him earlier. I mean, he was the guy who really, changed the way you attacked guys who were coming to the net. I mean, all of a sudden he was playing with such heavy topspin. He dipped the ball down at your feet 1 minute, and the next he'd be throwing up the topspin lob. And that's one of the toughest surfaces to play on right there. A little bumpy.
50.
Not as bumpy as where Lapentti started with his father, who was a politician. He started on the beach in Guayaquil, or in Ecuador. And I imagine the ball's bounce off the sand must have been a bit erratic.
Well, I'm sure you guys, and by you guys I mean the English Davis Cup squad, you're going to have some bumpy clay courts down in Ecuador.
And some very bumpy moments all round, I think.
Left. First service.
Great serve. Deep, wide, moving. He's ahead, but still on serve at the moment. 5-4.
5 games to 4. Time.
Well, everything is the same in the statistics for about 5 or 6 lines. 2 aces for both, 2 doubles false for both. First serve percentage, 66 for both. First serve points 1, 14 out of 19 for both, 74.5% for both. It's almost sinister how alike they are.
Although Rafter's won more points.
Oh, well, there's a difference.
That's the difference right there. 4 more points, and he's got 1 more game. 5-4 Rafter.
Lapentti just rolls over it a bit, doesn't he? Hits it sort of almost flat, but coming over it a bit, and the ball accelerates off the ground, and that made it difficult for Rafter.
I think the boos you hear are from the ball boy requesting that ball be sent back. This isn't baseball. You can't keep that home run. You've got to send it back. Now, if they hit for 6 in cricket, do they have to throw the ball back? I mean,
I'm not going to answer these ridiculous questions from an American. I mean, what do you think? No.
I don't know cricket, oh boy.
Oh, well, you should have. We'll talk about it sometime. You know that sometimes a bowler made an over. Your mind is immediately racing, isn't it?
You bowled me over.
Two clever shots. Clever by Rafter. Even more clever by Lapentti.
14.
Yeah, well, that's evidence of why this guy was ranked 6th in the world. I mean, that was a big-time shot. I mean, that was a heck of an approach from Rafter.
Rafter sort of spooned that one over. There's your man again.
You know, for a guy who was 6th in the world, you might say, well, what's happened to him since then? And I really think he struggled with his confidence. He had a stretch there in March, April, and May where he won only one match. And he got it together later in the season. We won the event in Kitzbühel on clay. But it's been a relatively off year for him. He really hasn't played as well as he has in past years.
Well, it's bad news for Britain, really, the Davis Cup, if he's peaking at this time in the season.
5 games off.
Because he's going to be a pivotal figure in that Davis Cup tie, obviously playing 2 singles and obviously playing the doubles as well, probably with his younger brother, Giovanni.
Well, it's interesting to note that, you know, the reason why you guys are going back down to Ecuador is because of this guy right here. The Australians beat Ecuador in the opening round. Rafter beating Lapentti in straight sets on grass out in Perth, Australia. And that match, I think England and Ecuador will decide who will go back into the world group for 2001.
You're right.
Well, Rafter's won 10 straight points on his serve. So Lapentti has something of a rut. He started out very well against the Rafter serve, but hasn't had much luck of late.
I think Rafter's serving better now, Steve, than he was earlier.
14.
And therefore his volleys are just that little bit easier. Good second serve, pressure still on. Rafter goes ahead, 6-5. Looks like we're heading for the lottery of a tiebreak. These are shots from the, what do they call it, the sky cam?
There's a look at it.
There it goes.
I think it is the sky cam. Yeah, it moves along guide wires along, excuse me, above the deck of Arthur Ashe Stadium court.
It's all over the place too. If you go up on the roof, sometimes it whistles past your ear and it's going down towards Louis Armstrong. It's a menace. It's got a mind, I think.
Well, someone told me that Pete Sampras saw the shadow of it going across the court and he thought it was a squirrel running across the court.
Yes, people tend to look up at it. It's a fantastic arrangement, actually. There it goes. It's above the word errors at the moment. Second row. Or is that a person?
And if you can look in the upper sections there, you can see the wave moving around the stadium. And this has been a favorite sideline of the crew that resides up in those top areas. Pretty festive group here tonight.
Very. Saturday night, New York, holiday.
Well lubricated.
I suppose so. And they're having a bit of exercise with the Mexican wave. Mindless occupation, I think.
Well, you got to get up and stretch your feet occasionally.
Just put your hands up and... The Davis Cup final, where was it, down in Nice. The French crowd were doing it so enthusiastically that the umpire, Andy Egley, he was forced eventually to join in. He kept telling them to stop. They wouldn't, so he joined in. Good PR. Lapentti serves to stay in this first set and take it to a tie-break. That is a beautiful shot. A form of off backhand, inside out backhand. And he was bending it also away from Lapentti. Wouldn't Rafter love to be spared the tension of the tie-break? You see what he was doing there? He went forward. I shouldn't be here. Maybe I'm here. I've better go forward.
He did hesitate just a bit, but then decided he had made the right play after all. Paid off.
Lapentti love 30. 5-6, first set. He needed first serves in. He's not getting them. Well, that's a cool pass.
15-13.
Well, there wasn't much on the approach shot, really, but I think Rafter was counting on the pressure of the moment more than the pace of the shot.
An apology at close quarters.
30 all.
No, that was just good luck. That's all you can say about that. That could have been a couple break points down if he hadn't gotten lucky.
I would have thought Rafter hated that point. He wanted to get to the net, but there was nothing short enough to allow him to go forward. Tie break it is.
6 games all. Tiebreaker.
I just get the feeling that Rafter had plenty of chances to get in there. You know, he just didn't take them. Okay, maybe there wasn't a real short ball, but I think he could have made the charge somewhere in that rally.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, he's such a good volleyer. Volley in mid-court is no major problem for him. Unless it's on his toes. Well then, been on court for 50 minutes and somebody's going to be disappointed. How badly do you want to, if you start serving the tiebreak, to win that first point? You just have to set it up, and the pressure all shifts to the other end, where he's trying to save 2 points. Lapentti, love one.
So Lapentti gets his 2 points on serve. Guys will trade 2 serves. Remember, the tiebreaker is first one to 7. The margin of at least 2 points.
There's the familiar "sorry, mate," which famously he once even said to Rios.
2-all.
I think Rios didn't react at all to that. He was probably thinking, good Lord, have I really got a mate? Terrific return.
3-2, Lapentti.
Lapentti draws first blood. Little break of serve here, and he does it nicely with that inside-out two-handed backhand. See, he's pumping his fist, trying to build momentum. Certainly with a chance here now. But again, he had a break here in this set and lost it. He was up 3-2. Now he is up 3-2 in the tiebreaker with a break. Let's see how he handles this.
Now Pat will be aiming to get to the net to try and polish off a point. Yep, and that's it. He didn't have to go to the net.
3-all.
Well, Rafter can drive the ball pretty convincingly off his forehand, and that's why the guys try and stay away from it in those baseline exchanges. You know, off the backhand, he's not going to create that kind of winner. Lapentti gave him a chance, and he took it.
Some difference, isn't it? Here, Leaf crossing over at 4-2 or 2-4 rather than 3-all. Huge difference. Big point here. Lapentti taking his time. Just long, but very close, because there was a load of topspin on that. And that makes sometimes the line judge assess that it's going to be out, when in fact it isn't. Disastrous couple of points for Lapentti.
Yeah, really. Those were not clutch. I mean, this is a great chance now for Rafter. I mean, he's really turned the tables.
Yes, the point before that one, the 3 points before that were all broken points. Now Rafter ahead 5-3. Clinical. 3 set points for Rafter.
6-3 Rafter.
Absolutely clinical. The first 2 of these set points will be on the Lapentti serve. Beautiful point again by Rafter. So Rafter saved his best for the end. And what will that do to the South American morale, I wonder?
Time.
Well, the crowd buzzing after that first set. Just under the hour. And a pretty good display by both men, but Rafter really saving his beautiful serve volley tactics and played them just clinically during that tie-break. He was the first one to be broken. I thought he was going, but boy, did he ever come back with a vengeance. In fact, subsequently, I just realized, Leith, that he took all the Lapentti service points. He was broken for 2-3. He then broke back for 3-all. He broke again for 4-3. Rafter a couple of serves, and then he broke again for the final point of the thing. So that is some play against the Lapentti serve. Second set.
50.
And that's what I talked about with Lapentti. I mean, he doesn't really have that big overpowering serve. You know, I think he can get to it. In the clutch, the best players take care of their serve, and Lapentti really hasn't done that.
How do you feel about the Rafter return of serve? You know, sometimes there's no backswing at all, is there? He just blocks it back.
He's not a guy who's going to blaze winners off the return, but you know, I think he gets a lot of balls back into play. So I think it's effective for what he wants it to do, which is to really get the point started.
Yeah, and push it deep, and then start the point. There.
50.
That one just happened to fall right in.
Yeah.
You know, I look at a player like Greg Ruzetsky, and I think, you know, if Ruzetsky could just return as consistently as Rafter, I think he'd win more matches. And even though Rafter doesn't hit, you know, Andre Agassi bullets, he's getting the ball into play, and you can see we've reached an hour pretty much to finish the one set. It's a nice play from Rafter there. Caught Lapentti leaning to the backhand. And this is a good chance here. Remember, he's got the first set in his bag. Now a chance to to break in this opening game.
Good idea, but wrong weight of shot. He was lobbing all his best lobs right at the beginning.
Well, a perfect start for Rafter. I mean, that is what you want to do when you get the chance. You know, build the pressure, build the advantage. And again, not a great game for Lapentti. You know, he stopped serving and volleying. And he's been playing a few mishits, too, that have been landing short, and Rafter has been all over those. I mean, he likes those short ones in the service box.
Yep. Wrong decision by Rafter, I think. Maybe Rafter's better at soccer than Lapentti. Too much side spin, a bit too clever there, Rafter.
Now that's a bit better there.
15-30.
Watch how high this serve bounces off the court. Lapentti having to play that up around his shoulders, bounding away from him. Tough to bring that ball back down.
He's picking these second shots off very well now, Rafter, because he's serving better. Fastest serve is still 114, but there's an awful lot of work on each serve.
40-30.
And I sense a bit of depression in Lapentti's demeanor.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's always interesting to watch Rafter. You talked about his pace on that first serve. Again, reminiscent a little bit of Stefan Edberg. You know, not the big serve with lots of flat power. But again, it triggers this chain of events. You know, the great first volley and the second volley and the beautiful movement. And that is how Edberg played, and that is how Rafter now consolidates the break.
Good play.
I mean, I enjoy watching Rafter play because he's so fluid. You know, he gets in behind that serve, and his movement to the volleys are so natural. You know, Pete Sampras has won 7 Wimbledons, but he doesn't play that same fluid kind of serve and volley game. It's a little different, you know. It's not quite as natural as an Edberg or a Rafter or a Henman even. And the other thing about Rafter I like is he's got this hint of power about him. I practiced with him in Bermuda once, and I mean, you're talking about one strong guy. I mean, he can really power the ball, but you don't really notice it.
Yes, well played. Neat little volley.
Yeah, he's such a great athlete, Rafter.
30.
Yet the shots he hit aren't necessarily penetrating with power, but they're played with very powerful spin. You know, when the ball hits your racket, you feel it moving on the strings.
You call it a heavy ball?
Yeah, I would, and particularly when he hits an underspin approach or a topspin forehand. You know, you feel the weight of his shot because he is a powerful man.
No, that's missing. I once asked Roger Taylor about playing Borg. And what's the main thing about it? And he said, the ball is so heavy when it comes from Borg. And it doesn't appear to be a very heavy ball, but when it hits your racket, it is. Well, that's just careless. Lapentti at his stage of this match cannot afford that sort of error. Unforced errors 12 for Lapentti, 9 for Rafter.
Well, this is a real crisis now for Lapentti. I mean, he's already down a break. And that double fault is going to give Rafter a chance to build on this lead.
If he loses this point, I sense a deep depression forming over Ecuador. Another careless error, and the insurance break is Rafter's. He leads by 3 games.
Rafter leads.
3 games to love, and 2 of them are breaks.
Time.
Absolutely packed stadium this. Well, when I say absolutely, there are a few small gaps, but it's fuller than it's been any night, I think. And no doubt it's the lovely fine night, the fact that everybody's on holiday, and the fact that there are no other matches going on at the moment, Leaf, around here. There usually are.
It's the only show in town.
And it's a good show. And Rafter's putting on, there we are, big Australian support. The old inflatable kangaroos.
It's interesting to see how Rafter has really wrestled this match away from Lapentti. I mean, the Ecuadorian was playing great tennis early on, and Rafter has just sprinted past him. His level of play has risen, and Lapentti just has not responded. You know, he just hasn't been able to stay with him.
30.
That's a great slice serve to the forehand. 40 love. And there's 3 points for a 4-love lead. Terrific returns. Wonderful timing. All of it is.
Rafter leads 4 games to 1.
Oh, sensational volley. On the jump, really, on the reach. Terrific.
Love 15.
And these kinds of volleys really, say a lot about how good you are at the net. And that pretty much says it all. That was a brilliant stretch. Look at that. He's able to get just that little flick of the racket right at the end.
That's well played. I don't think I know any other player who returns serve like Rafter. Just a complete block, really, isn't it?
And I think, tonight he's made his mind that he can just get the ball into play, and Lapentti hasn't really taken advantage of that. And maybe Lapentti needs to serve and volley so he can cut off some of those floating balls. Don't allow Rafter just to bunt it back. Make him take some swings at your serve. It's like a chess match out here, and Lapentti hasn't adjusted. He just hasn't made the right moves at the right times.
He's enjoying the challenge, isn't he, of diving for these volleys, Rafter? He's beginning really to enjoy himself. Firmly in control of this match at the moment. Even if he does look a bit puffed and hot.
It's been a while since Lapentti's won a service game. I mean, he's lost his last 2 service games. He's lost 5 straight games. So he's going to feel better about getting something on the board here.
So he is on the board now. But he's 4-1 down. He's overcome the sweat problem he had in Australia.
Well, it started out hot on Monday and Tuesday of this week, but it's become a bit more mild. And Labor Day always signals something of a decline in the summer heat here. Some sort of step into fall. getting into September. The kid's going back to school, but not before the U.S. Open finishes its run here.
Time.
There goes the sky cam. Shot across your screen from left to right. So Rafter serving with a double break, 4-1. Good shot too, the way Rafter hooked that. A normal mortal might well have hit it back to the backhand, would have been easier. He was kind of playing with Lapentti then. Exhibition stuff.
14.
I sense that Lapentti knows that this set is gone, so he's just having a little bit of fun, I think, and Rafter doesn't mind that a bit.
Well, if he does lose this set, only once before in his life has he come back from 2 sets to love down in a 5-set match. Lovely stabbing motion to that volley, backhand volley of Rafter's. Slice it deep, keep it low. Now Lapentti serving here for a bit of respectability in this set, and little else, I think, at the moment.
This is very good tennis there. The off backhand return, and then a devastating forehand up the line. And Rafter looks to be in fine form. Everything he touches is gold.
He'll have to be if he wins, and Sampras awaits in the next round.
That is an amazing matchup, isn't it? Sampras Rafter in the
Incredible.
round of 16.
Incredible. Wimbledon final of last year. Not sure he should have done that. Maybe he's enjoying himself so much he set himself a target, a challenge.
Well, you're going to try a shot like that. I'd say the time to try it is when you're up 7-6, 5-1. You're not going to try that one at 5-all in the breaker in the 5th set. Although you might, Bill. I know you
Yeah, but
take
if
chances.
I did, thank you very much for the sport you're giving me. But as you well know, I would only do it by mistake.
Put the hand up. Sorry about that. You're going to take it.
30.
Well, to be totally professional, he wants to start the third set on his own serve, Rafter. In other words, he wants this game here.
It's always interesting to hear the talk about Rafter, you know, taking 6 months off and wanting to retire. I mean, he really is at the top of the sport right now. He's had such a tremendous run this year, and I hear a lot about, you know, players and athletes wanting to retire on top, but I feel like he still has plenty of good tennis in him. And I know the game would miss him, and boy, you just can't get those years back. You know, it's very tough to get to the level he's at after taking 6 months off. Remember John McEnroe? You know, he took a hiatus from the game, and he could never recapture that level that made him the great John McEnroe after that time off.
Even Borg tried to make a comeback, and it failed dismally down in Monte Carlo.
Game.
Well, now Rafter presumably will try and win the set on the next serve. That'll leave Lapentti serving first in the next set. 2-5. So, Rafter, when Lapentti allows him, will be serving for a 2-set lead. Slightly overdid it. Didn't have to. Had plenty of room. Lapentti all of a sudden, because he was allowed to win that game before, and I almost think he was allowed to by some rather lackadaisical play by Rafter. And this game is so mental, so psychological, that he now looks a different player.
A nice recovery from Rafter. Again, better rhythm on the serves.
30 all.
And of course, when you establish that rhythm on your serve, that first volley seems to get better. Tony Roach on the left. Laura Feltham on the right. Patrick Rafter's girlfriend.
So lovely recovery from love 30 by Rafter. And that brings up set point for a 2-set lead.
Game in second set.
Easy.
6 games to 2.
Well played, Rafter. Played really well in that set. Rafter leads in 6-2, and that is a 2-set to love lead. what you've seen of Nicolas Lapentti, just putting you in the captain's chair of our Davis Cup team, seriously, you know, should you do anything against him? He's the key man, obviously, Nicolas Lapentti. I mean, it's going to be difficult for Tim and Greg to play him from the back of the court. They're going to have to attack, haven't they?
Yeah, I think one of those guys is going to have to beat him for England in order to go through. And just quickly, we'll take a look at Rafter. You can see how well he serves and, you know, backs it up. 9 winners, only 4 unforced. That's a good set of tennis from Rafter. But yes, Bill, I think you're right. I mean, you've got to attack him, and certainly on the clay, it's going to be tougher to get to him. But I think he can be beaten. I mean, he's not one of these dominating clay quarters by any means. So I think Henman could put together a good match down there. I think Ruzetsky can also play well on clay. I mean, those are two guys who are not just only good on hard court or grass. I mean, Henman can play well on the clay as well.
Yeah, they both learned sort of this year and towards the end of last year to be quite good on clay. So
Time.
there's some hope there. I think the doubles might be a pivotal match.
It will. I don't think you can count on Nicolas Lapentti being beaten twice. You know, I think he's probably going to win at least one match in singles. So someone's going to have to knock him off. And England may have to win the doubles. And that box, which before had put up signs requesting dates to come to the box, and now they have a few. That's pretty comical. That's the trick, I guess. You know, rent a box at Arthur Ashe Stadium,
Yes.
and you can find yourself a date. You know, Rafter's going to continue applying this kind of pressure.
Yeah, as long as he does, it's sort of immaterial who's serving, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But I think Lapentti's got to change it up. I thought he was having some success early on coming in himself, but he seems content now to let Rafter attack, and it's a losing proposition. The old adage, you know, change a losing game. And if you're not winning, staying back, you might as well come in and see if you can't change your fortunes.
Seeing the stats up there. 9 volley winners for Rafter. I would have thought there were more, and 6 for Lapentti. I would have thought there were less. Well, that was asking a bit to do a stop volley off that shot off his toes. played Lapentti.
First game, third set.
Pretty good defense there from Lapentti. I mean, he was way back in the court. But he made Rafter volley at his shoe tops, and for once, Rafter couldn't handle it. Now, in your expert opinion, Bill, back in '97, Rafter was, one of the 10 sexiest men in the world, but he hasn't been, acknowledged since. I mean, do you feel he's not as sexy as he was?
Well, you came on the scene, so I suppose that sort of, that pushed him down the list a bit. I of course, was bitterly disappointed to be aged out in the sort of hundreds.
Yes, yeah. I think it has a lot to do with winning. You win a U.S. Open, that's pretty sexy. He won, of course, in '97, broke through and won his first one.
Yeah, he was one of these magazines calling him the sexiest man in the world, which is going some, isn't it? I mean, they've got a few other guys. This guy must have been a candidate. They called for the most generous, popular tennis player. He might well have, I think he would win that.
50.
Although Rios might push him close.
Yeah. Marcelo Rios, of course, he had a good run here. He was unseeded, and he had a chance today against Johansson to go through into the round of 16, but he just played a bad match, and Johansson beat him pretty solidly. And Johansson will take on the defending U.S. Open champion, the Russian Marat Safin, who also went convincing through against Arazi, the Moroccan.
40.
Johansson, good player, I think. A few years back, semi-final here, very, very nearly beat Philippoussis, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I like his game. He's a great mover.
Monster tie-break.
Game, Rafter.
Of course, it's hard to mention that match without mentioning Rafter, who, of course, took out Philippoussis in that final in '98. So Rafter collected his second U.S. Open. It's hard to think that he hasn't won any other slams. He's been so close at Wimbledon, close at the Australian. He's always seemingly one of those guys in the last few rounds of these majors.
Yeah, so close at Wimbledon. Took it well, didn't he? I'm happy for you, mate, I gather he says to Goran at the net. I mean, not many players would say that. Lapentti found that amusing, trying to force the pace a bit with that shot. Failed dismally.
Love, 30.
Lapentti came in behind that approach shot. And you can see the difference in the volleys. That time he had to make a stretch volley. He couldn't quite pull it off. We saw Rafter play that same type of shot, and he played it for a winner. So no question who is more adept up at the net.
It's the old-fashioned bouncing the ball before you serve. I thought that had gone out of fashion. Were you a great bouncer of the ball?
No, I maybe once or twice, but
yeah,
there's 3, 4, 5 would drive you nuts.
Yeah.
That's too good there. Good defense from Lapentti.
15-40.
Well, the rhythm seems to have gone out of the serve a bit now. That was a very jerky effort. Break points.
I think Lapentti was thinking about Rafter coming in because he really pulled down on that serve. It had no chance of getting over the net.
Calamitous bit of serving then by Lapentti. Tossed away that break of serve.
2-1.
And leaving Rafter 2-1 up with the break.
Time.
Bird's eye view of this centre court here, the Arthur Ashe Stadium. A lot of people have stayed on to see the end of this match. Really is still pretty full, this stadium.
You know, it took an hour to play that first set, and in 40 minutes we've nearly played a set and a half. So Rafter has gotten on with business.
Certainly has. 2-1 ahead with the break.
Look.
Lapentti no longer seems to be able to handle this medium fast swinging serve. Must be difficult. A bit like a swing bowler in cricket. You wanted to know more about cricket. I'm quite sure it's perhaps the most interesting subject.
I didn't really, actually, Bill.
You didn't? Well, I'm still going to tell you one or two things.
All right.
What you guys can't realize is that two teams can play 5 days and nobody wins. You know?
My God.
Bad luck.
No, couldn't quite pull it off.
30-15.
Good lob, this.
Well, Bill, do you think Rafter can beat Sampras?
From what I've seen, I haven't seen a lot of Sampras this week. Seen a bit. He seemed to play pretty well in his last match. But yes, absolutely, I think he can. What do you think? One of those matches, isn't it? Whoever plays best on the day or the night. That could have been fun if he'd hit it back to Lapentti. Might have been just a little bit patronising if he had.
40-30.
Well, good effort from Lapentti. You know, he's down 2 sets in a break, yet he's still running, still competing.
Pity it had to end. That was a really good ground stroke point.
Rafter leads 3-1.
And Rafter now 3-1 up.
Well, 1998 was the year that Rafter won his second U.S. Open, and he beat Sampras in the semifinals that year. And Sampras was up 2-1.
seem to remember was there an injury problem?
I think there was some fatigue and
Coming
perhaps
into
a
the
slight groin injury. I
equation.
think Sampras had there.
I seem to remember something that sort of joined in the equation there. They had a little bit of history between the two of them, didn't they? At another match somewhere else, I think before the US Open.
Well, that will be something. That match will be coming up in our continuing coverage of this event. No doubt it will be on this court right here, Arthur Ashe Stadium court.
Well, our two representatives may have gone today, but there's some fantastic tennis coming up with some amazingly good players matching up as from Monday.
50.
Or as from Sunday.
It's amazing to think that the winner of that match, Rafter, Sampras, will play the winner of Andre Agassi and Roger Federer.
Hardly seems fair, that.
I mean, that is just the roughest section of the draw.
Packed with talent, isn't it?
You'd think whoever came through that section would be the favorite. But then again, you know, how much gas do you have to burn to get through there?
$15. $30, 50.
Just creasing the line. Nicely done from Lapentti.
$40, 50.
Nearly pulled that one off. It's amazing to think that Rafter has been to the net 84 times.
A look of amused respect as Rafter just turns him inside out.
40, 30.
Well, this guy moves like an Olympic sprinter.
They're both having to move, dodging around like boxers. Oh, what brilliance from Rafter. That is the point of the night.
Well, full marks to Lapentti for getting this one. Watch how he tracks this down. Don't try this at home.
Deuce.
And a finish by Rafter.
Not a bad effort between his legs.
Advantage, Lapentti.
Well, good work there from Lapentti.
Game, Lapentti.
Oh, nice serve to finish it off.
Rafter leads.
Eventful game.
2.
So Rafter going with a little bit of the orange drink. So they got the colors of the rainbow now in these bottles. The guys mix all these drinks in the locker room beforehand. Instead of just having a little bit of water, they usually take on some of these power drinks. And Lapentti's got the pink working.
That's the one Sampras used to have, I think. Whether it's the same concoction, I don't know, but that colour. You had the basic old water, did you, when you played?
Yeah, water,
Yeah.
and if you need a little bit of energy, maybe you'd have a little bit of Coca-Cola. I'm not sure how good that is, but...
I wouldn't have thought that was good.
Well, do you remember Vince Van Patten, the American?
Yeah,
he,
sure.
he used to drink coffee
What an
on
amazing
the
player
changeovers.
he was.
Yeah, quick around the court, but...
He was a film star, too, wasn't
That's
he?
right. He was an actor in Apple's Way, but
Yeah,
boy, this guy was drinking caffeine on the changeover like candy.
really. Well, I'm not sure Barotra, he was a bit before your time, you know. He was
One of
about,
the Four Musketeers, right?
yeah, one of their four musketeers, Barotra. I'm not sure he didn't have a brandy sometimes when he changed over.
Now those were the days, weren't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think he actually had a cigar with the brandy. But he used to tell his opponent, you know, I have never seen a backhand quite like yours. It's so superb. You haven't missed a single backhand, he would say, passing. That's why guys used to go the other side of the net from him. Because having had that oration, obviously your backhand folds up from then on. You're thinking about it all the time. Here's Rafter with a break, 3-2.
15. Love.
Oh, it was a good shot under the pressure of the Rafter volley.
15. All. $15. 30.
That could be dangerous. I saw Roy Emerson do that when he was Wimbledon champion. And,
First round at Wimbledon?
No,
Semi-
quarterfinal.
quarterfinals.
Quarterfinal, I think. I'm sure it wasn't against Owen Davidson.
Yeah, he got his foot wedged underneath the umpire's chair, right?
No, I think he did his ribs, actually.
Oh, okay.
He just ran straight into it, you know. I think I was commentating on the thing, or watching it anyway. And it did him no good at all. You know, he played on, I think, as I recall, but injured.
A little bit of a chance there for Lapentti, and that wasn't much of a return.
But that was
Deuce.
good one.
You don't have to question her allegiance, do you?
Advantage, Lapentti.
This is just a wee bit careless.
Deuce.
Guess he was in two minds there, whether to pass or lob.
Well, I think Rafter was also in two minds as well. Should he play the drop volley? But instead he played it conservatively. You know, he volleyed deep and said, all right, I'm going to take a good position here, and I'm not going to let you get the ball by me. Lapentti only capitalizing on the one chance, and that was back in the first set.
Advantage Rafter.
Yeah, that's right. Hasn't broken Rafter since the third game of the match.
Game, Rafter.
Nice deep volley there. Rafter pulls himself together and goes ahead 4-2.
Rafter leads 4-2.
How good has Rafter been coming in? He's been in the finals of his last 4 events. Wimbledon, the Canadian Open, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis. Of course, the only event he won was in Indianapolis. But that's a lot of good tennis. And he was, and still is, my pick to win the event based on his form coming in.
Is he? Interesting, yes.
15 all.
He's got to be the man with the most successful recent tennis.
Yeah, and he's going to be tested. I mean, for him to win, he's going to have to beat Sampras, Agassi, Safin,
Yeah.
and then someone from the other half. So there's a lot to be done yet, but I don't think there's anyone better coming in.
30-15.
No, I guess it's either him or one of those you've just mentioned who's got to do the same sort of thing. Be a romantic final if Rafter and Goran, even Ivanisevic were there. It's lovely tactics by Rafter. Really, really clever tennis.
All.
Six double faults now. One more than his aces. And a break point, if taken, would leave him serving for the match. Wide open spaces exploited by Rafter, and he will indeed in the next game serve the match. 5-2. Been a master class, really, hasn't it, Leaf? This.
Yeah, this is real evidence. This 2 hours worth of tennis that Rafter's at the top of his game. I mean, Lapentti came out here playing pretty well. He played his best tennis in the opening set, but I think was so disheartened at losing the set that his game just fell apart a bit. But again, Rafter has applied the pressure, and he's applied it consistently, and he's applied it cleanly. So the Kangaroos will, I'm sure, be inflated to live another day.
Well, Rafter, who professed his dislike of night tennis here after the match before this one, and finds himself on again. He'll be hoping from now on, I think, that he is spared the night tennis, but he's such a good draw, such an attractive, popular player that, of course, for television reasons, he's a prime suspect to go on night matches here.
Now that's been his bread and butter.
50.
It's Rafter closing in on $10 million in prize money. He may have recently surpassed, I don't have the exact total. I'll tell you, the lion's share of that $10 million credited to that serve and volley game.
Love.
So Rafter for 3 match points now.
Game, set, match.
One's enough.
7-6, 6-2, 6-2.
Yeah, that was just a great exhibition by one of the U.S. Open champions, still alive in the lower half of the draw. And he will take on Pete Sampras now, which should be perhaps the matchup of the tournament so far. But that was impressive. He's got to feel good about it and feel good about his chances from here on out.
And he's had all this support that he absolutely deserves. Terrific win by Pat Rafter. As he smacks the ball into the night sky, somebody will treasure that for the rest of their lives. Great win by him. We're just sorry here, obviously, not as much as the two players, that Tim and Greg could not match the efforts of our football players, our soccer players over in Germany, but they did their best, believe me. They had tough matches and they came up short, but the other two guys were good. So we've had some terrific tennis today, some very exciting tennis, and there's going to be much, much more coming up. So from Leif Sharis and from me now, good night.